What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to the Morning View and Cobby Mainoo. Yes, Cobby Mainoo. Things have turned around for young Cobby in this Manchester United side, haven't they? He's back in the Manchester United team. He's playing some of his best football in quite some time. He's actually starting games in the Premier League. And there are talks also reportedly set to be underway for a brand new contract for the Manchester United Academy graduate. But things could have been very different. Do you know what today is? Today is not just Thursday, the 5th of February, 2026. Today marks 1 month since Ruben Amorim was sacked as Manchester United head coach. And according to Fabrizio Romano, things could have been very, very different for Cobby Mainoo had Ruben Amorim stayed. In fact, Romano's saying that talks are well advanced with Napoli over a move for Mainoo to Italy. He's me to say, it's early. But was that going to be a permanent? Was that going to be a loan? We don't know. One thing we do know is that Cobby's future at Manchester United was heavily in doubt, wasn't it? Heavily in doubt. And now things have done a complete 180 and are going in the complete other direction, aren't they? And maybe he's got a long-term future at Manchester United after all. But the real question is, I suppose, when it comes to his international future, now that he's back in the Manchester United side, is he going to be making the England squad in the seventh of the World Cup, or is it too late? What are your thoughts on Cobby Mainoo? Should he get a new long-term contract? How are you feeling 1 month after Ruben Amorim's departure from Manchester United? We're going to be talking about it all this morning, so be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. It's a solo-in stream, so of course you've got to let me know where you're watching from and what the weather is like. What is the weather like where you're from, as always, as well? And when it comes to Cobby Mainoo, of course, he's done a complete 180 when it comes to his form, when it comes to appearances in Manchester United's starting 11, when it comes to possibly getting a new contract at Manchester United too. What if I told you you can make a 180 too? You can make a 180 when it comes to your health and fitness goals. Too good to be true. No, I'm not lying. Here's how.
Today's video is sponsored by our friends at Oxford Natural and their all-new natural supplement, Optimum Day and Night. Thousands across the UK, USA and beyond are smashing their health goals with Oxford Natural. Optimum Day gives you steady energy, curbs your cravings and keeps your metabolism firing all day. Optimum Night helps you relax, get restorative sleep, recover and keep burning fat while you rest. It's not a magic pill, but it will help you reach your health goals. Check out some of the incredible results. Two of our own, OWEN, lost over 100 pounds in 10 months. And KG dropped 30 pounds in 4 months. In 8 months, football legend Michael Owen lost 35 pounds. And Robbie from AFTV, Don Robbie, lost over 80 pounds. And in 6 months, Anita, an award-winning immigration lawyer, lost 44 pounds. And Linda, a law firm executive, lost over 50 pounds. No gimmicks, no needles, just results. Oxford Natural, let's get to work.
Yes, let's get to work indeed. As always, guys, you can scan that QR code right there to subscribe and save up to 70% off your first order. You can use the code UV if you scan that QR code, or you click the link in the video description, or it's pinned in the chat. You get taken to the landing page. You get case studies, you get stories, you get all of the information that you need when it comes to your Optimum Day, which is good for your weight loss goals, or your Optimum Nights, when it comes to your restorative sleep. As always, you can get them individually or combined. You can get Optimized today. Say it together with me. I know I'm by myself this morning, but 1, 2, 3, Optimized, yeah? 1, 2, 3, Optimized. You can get Optimized today. Yes, yes, yes. How are we all doing this morning? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling chipper? Are we feeling, I don't know, energetic? It is Thursday. We're nearly at the end of the week. We're nearly towards another weekend of Manchester United football, this time against the Tottenham Hotspur at Old Trafford. Can Michael Carrick make it 4 out of 4 when it comes to straight victories at Manchester United as the head coach? We'll be talking about that a little bit later on. I can see people in the chat this morning. Court Star says it's raining in London. It's not raining here, but it is. It is cold. It is cold. It's very windy where I am, I'm going to tell you. Daniel Luciano says Connecticut, 4 a.m. and freezing. Bloody hell. That is commitment, Daniel Luciano. And Daniel Luciano, yeah, he is always here, always in the chat, moderator, member, and stateside. 4 a.m. and freezing and locking into United View. That is commitment. Yeah, that is commitment. Gavin says it's chapping in California. Oh, in 5 degrees feels like 4. I know how you feel, Gavin. Yeah, I know how you feel, certainly, because the weather app is a liar, basically, isn't it? You know, when it will say like 5 degrees and then it will say like feels like -6, and you go, son of a, you know, and it's a bit chilly. It's the wind. The wind does it. I don't mind cold temperatures, but when the wind is really fierce, you know what I mean? I'm out walking Asher, and she got a haircut yesterday. Her hair's now, she's like a big giant fluff ball. And yeah, the wind's a killer. The wind's an absolute killer. Amanor, with the first super chat of the day, says, not gonna lie, I'm nervous about Spurs, our voodoo team. Amanor, stop that right there. Okay? Stop that right there. Now, I know, yes, in recent years, it's not gone great against Spurs. We don't need to bring up what happened in Bilbao. And yes, I know that, you know, Ruben and Eric, when it was Angie's Spurs, we don't need to talk about it. But that era is gone, okay? That time is over. Now, once again, it feels like the world and the universe is healing itself. You got Manchester United flying up the table. You got Spurs still languishing mid-table or wherever they are, okay? And it feels like, once again, finally, in the words of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, finally, we can use the team talk once more of, lads, it's Tottenham. Yeah? That's all that needs to be said. That's all that needs to be said when it comes to that. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on, right? We'll talk about that later on. But don't be nervous, Amanor, okay? Yeah? Have some confidence. Have some chest, right? We've earned it with the stuff that we've been through over the last 2 years, right? And longer. So, don't be nervous, Amanor. Don't be nervous. Let's see if we can get to a quick 100 likes already, folks. We're nearly at 400 people watching, which is fantastic. Nice and early on into the show. So let's get to a quick 100. But Kobbie Mainoo. Yes, Kobbie Mainoo. According to Fabrizio Romano, Kobbie Mainoo, well, it could have been quite different when it comes to the Manchester United midfielder. Of course, the January transfer window has closed. It closed on Monday at 7 p.m. And Kobbie Mainoo, now once again, an integral part of Michael Carrick's midfield at Manchester United. But he could have gone to Napoli. He could have gone to Napoli, according to Fabrizio Romano, who has said that if Ruben Amorim hadn't been sacked, Mainoo would likely not be a United player right now. He was set to leave on loan to Napoli. Talks with the player were already very advanced. But of course, Michael Carrick came in for, well, actually, Ruben got sacked. Fletcher came in as the interim. Carrick came in as the permanent interim, if you will. And now Kobbie is having conversations about possibly extending his contract at Manchester United. Things can turn around very, very quickly. Here's the clip of what it said.
Mainoo.
Yes, probably yes. Now life looks completely different for Kobbie because obviously Michael Carrick is trusting him. In public, you see a manager going to press conference and saying he's going to be the foundation of our club. Then in terms of game time, he's always started. 3 games, 3 starts for Kobbie Mainoo under Michael Carrick. So it's a completely different situation. And Kobbie never wanted to leave Man United.
You know what I rate with Fabrizio? He's still got the wired headphones. Yeah, because they're better. Wired headphones. They shit all over AirPods. They do. It's a fact. It's a fact. They do. The microphone on a wired headphone is still undefeated when it comes to headphones on mics. It's how the technology's got worse. I can't believe it.
Kobbie wanted to go on loan to play regular football. Kobbie wanted to be consistent in terms of game time. So this was the desire. It was not a problem with Man United as a club. Kobbie loves Man United.
He loves the club. He nearly did it. He nearly did it. He nearly did it. He nearly did. He loves Man United. He loves Manchester United.
The desire was not a problem with Man United as a club. Kobbie loves Man United. So to answer your question, yes, I think at the end, Kobbie Mainoo was going to leave Manchester United if Ruben Amorim ended up staying at the club. And I can reveal to you that Napoli were already in very advanced talks with the player. So if the player had to pick a club to go on loan in January, it was going to be Napoli. Napoli were ready, a loan deal till the end of the season, also because of the injuries of Kevin De Bruyne, Zambo Anguissa. Napoli wanted to add the midfielder, but then Napoli had some limitations with the market. And then Michael Carrick arrived and changed the future of Kobbie Mainoo.
That is, it's just wild about what could have been, isn't it? You know what I mean? It is just wild about what could have been when it comes to Kobbie, because for what Fabrizio is kind of saying there, not that it was a done deal. I think there were still, things to happen there. But for all intents and purposes, if if Ruben stayed, then Kobbie would have gone. Now, it's easy to say, after the fact. I think that, in a transfer window where Joshua Zirkzee didn't go, it'd be good if I had my headline there. Let's move this over with the what you call it and the thingy there. With a transfer window where Joshua Zirkzee has stayed, and he could have gone, but the reason for him staying was, look, well, we want to make sure that we've got options. We want to make sure that if we have a couple of injuries, we've got people that can come into the team, etc., etc. I don't know how accurate that is because, of course, we've just gone for a window where we've not brought anyone in and certainly no senior players have left either. And I think that maybe could have been the same had Ruben stayed. Certainly, one thing's for sure, there would have been a lot of noise. A lot of noise, wouldn't it, right? There would have been a lot of noise. We saw it towards the end of the year, with Kobbie's brother doing the shirt, whether or not Kobbie knew about it, which I still go back to that. I didn't like how that all played out. It was getting nasty, and it did feel like it was heading in a direction where maybe someone's hand may have been a bit forced. So maybe Kobbie did go out on loan and Manchester United do get a midfielder back in, something along those lines. It would have just felt, I remember doing a Trafford talk with James, and even having like the thumbnail was Kobbie in a Napoli shirt, and it just felt a bit wrong, really. You know what I mean? It just felt a bit wrong of seeing this young academy player in a shirt that wasn't Manchester United. Not that any academy player has a divine right, of course, to go into the Manchester United starting 11. And Kobbie's situation is very unique in comparison to lots of other players in the sense of he achieved so much so quickly. To go from that to kind of nothing, and in between that have a contract situation and injuries. It was just a really messy scenario. And like we spoke about before, it was a really complicated one too, because I think there was a separate issue between Kobbie Mainoo and Manchester United regarding the contract, right? Because the contract has been spoken about for the longest of times, hasn't it? Prior to that Euros, which is now a couple of years ago nearly, there's talks of, right, new contract. Yeah, he's had a breakthrough season. He's going to get a new deal. But focusing on the Euros first, well, let's just get to the end of the season first and we'll talk. Then that turned into, let's just wait for the Euros to go, then we'll talk. Then that turned into, well, Ten Hag's come and gone and Ruben's coming. Let's just wait till the end of the season, then we'll talk. And it just kept getting kicked down the line. And during that time, Kobbie starts to sort of go out of the team too. And Ruben clearly doesn't, fancy him in his system. And it felt like maybe he was on his way out. So a sort of player and club issue. Then, in addition to that, there was clearly a coach and player issue too. And they kind of sort of ended up merging together and they started as separate issues. That's why I was still a little bit like, just because Ruben's gone, if I was Kobbie, I would still be like, well, those people that were willing to sell me or willing to get rid of me, allegedly, those people that were willing to, cash in for me for allegedly £40 million, they're still here. So what, they suddenly value me now just because the coach is gone? That's a little bit strange. So that's why I do kind of raise my eyebrow a little bit, like The Rock, when it comes to these negotiations, because I still don't know how super straightforward they're going to be, because surely those hurdles that were there to overcome are still kind of there. Obviously, the biggest one, he's playing every single week now, and he's playing well, and he's playing in a team that's winning games and a system that certainly will get the best out of him, will get better out of him. That's clear to see. But those trust concerns or just general concerns would still, I would think, maybe be there. That would be me. But clearly, he's always wanted to stay at Manchester United, right? Even talking about this Napoli thing, as Fabrizio says there, it was a loan. It was a loan because he wanted to play football, because he wasn't playing football. And in fairness to Kobbie, he did see the writing on the wall as early as the summer transfer window, right? That's why he asked to leave in the summer on loan, because he realized, I'm not going to play. The manager doesn't think I can do what he wants me to do in this system. I'm competing with Bruno, and Bruno, always plays. His fitness record is superb. I'm we're out of these competitions. I'm kind of stuck here. I'm not going to play that much football. And he was right. He wasn't going to play hardly any football. His first Premier League start came after Amorim had left. So he did kind of see the writing on the wall with that one. And I still push back on the notion that, he got hit with quite a bit of, how dare he demand to be into the first team, which I don't think that's what he was doing. I think he was just sort of saying, if you don't have plans for me, then just let me go out on loan. I just want to play football. And like I said, then everything just got so messy and so, out of control, particularly towards the end. And it really did feel like, if you asked me in December, I think in fact, I'm probably on record saying I thought he was going to go. I really did think that he'd probably end up going out on loan, because I didn't think Ruben was going to leave till the end of the season. Again, it's remarkable how much can change so quickly in football, isn't it? It really is. So Cobby, it's one of, and I think you've got to be careful how you phrase it too, because even the sort of phrase Cobby would have left if Amorim stayed, it does give the impression of like, it was Cobby or Amorim, which it kind of wasn't. People have to remember this with the Ruben Amorim exit at Manchester United, that once again, it wasn't because of results. It wasn't because of results or performances or what have you. It was because of frustration over not bringing, Semenyo in or other people in January. He was told we're probably not going to do business, and we didn't. And also, it was pressure on him from Jason Wilcox and others to change tactics, and he didn't want to do that, right? And it just completely fell apart. So again, we could have been in a completely different scenario. And when I saw this morning that it had been a month of since Ruben Amorim had been sacked, it was a month today, right? 1 month ago today, Manchester United sacked Ruben Amorim as the head coach. Once again, there is his record. We did, first of all, it's amazing how a month can feel like such a short time, but also a really long time in football, isn't it? I mean, I remember the stream like it was yesterday, where Flex and myself were doing the morning show, and then right at the end of it, right at the end of it, is when the news, came out about Ruben and that he was gone, and it was surprising, certainly. But also it feels like a really long time, because you just think of everything that's happened since then. Of course, we have played a bunch of games. Fletcher has a couple of games as the interim, and then of course Carrick's come in now and done very well in his first 3 games. But yesterday, Flex and myself spoke obviously about Amorim, talking about how he's going to talk at the end of the season, and doesn't want to destabilize Manchester United season or whatever. And it was remarkable. I must say it was remarkable, because basically what we were saying yesterday is, obviously he's going to talk at the end of the season, and my reaction was like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? I don't really care. Because if he talks about how the inner workings at Manchester United are shit, and or Jason Wilcox did this, or the Glazers did this, or whatever. And I was just like, I don't really care. And that got kind of twisted into, so you don't care what's happening behind the scenes at Manchester United? So look at this, you're Glazer and Ineos sympathizer, and you're saying Ruben Amorim can't talk. Ruben Amorim says what he wants. You know what I mean? He can. First of all, I think people may be looking for this sort of a bombshell interview from him at the end of the season. I don't think we're really going to get that. I mean, he got a significant amount of compensation, and I'm sure somewhere in that compensation package is an NDA, either non-disclosure agreement or a non-disparage agreement. Could be one or the other, whereby one, he just might not be able to say anything until his original Manchester United contract is concluded. A bit like what happened with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, by the way, he did the same. I'm not going to do any interviews. And then his original contract comes up, and then he starts doing interviews. Like he was on the Overlap talking openly about Manchester United. And also exposing the ownership, and the same ownership that he tried to work for again, by the way, as part of the, to become the manager till the end of the season. And Yeah, so he's just not he's not going to, you know, he's not going to go in or anything like that. He may talk, you know, in sort of broad strokes, you know. But I said that, you know, I didn't really care because for me it doesn't change anything. You know what I mean? It doesn't change anything. That was kind of my wider point with it. You know, there isn't, even if he slags off the Glazers and Ineos, does that put pressure on them? Sure, great. There's already loads of pressure on them. We already know the Glazers are sucking and have sucked this club dry for close to, well, over 2 decades now. Ineos, in the 2 years that they've been in, have been rubbish. You know what I mean? They've been rubbish. Even the Michael Carrick decision to get him in, and we've won games, that isn't stroke of genius by Ineos. They've fallen into it. You know, they've fallen into a situation that started to work well for them. Will it end up working out for them in the long term? Don't know. Still don't trust them, right? And there are protests for that reason, because the club is still horribly run. And they're under Ineos, from a sporting perspective, it has got worse, and there have been these cuts all over the place, right? That's why the protests are there. That's why even myself participated in that United is Broken campaign, right? So nothing's changed. Nothing will change when it comes to that. And when it comes to Ruben, what's he going to say? You know, what's he going to say that kind of changes that? I get that there are 2 sides to every story, so he absolutely has the right to speak. Which again, that got weirdly, you know, warped yesterday. When you say I don't really care, that means, so you're saying he can't say anything? Of course he can. Of course he can. Of course he can speak. Of course he can say whatever he wants. It's just more that, for me, it doesn't change anything. That record you see on the screen right there, if he comes out and exposes Manchester United for being poorly run, does that give any extra context to that? Does that change it? No. Particularly at a time where someone who's come in and replaced him and achieved what he's achieved in the space of 3 weeks, you know? So, yeah, the club is poorly run. Yes, owners need to go. Yes, you know, we're still an absolute shambles, but just because it's like that, that doesn't mean you still can't deliver results. You know what I mean? That's kind of my sort of learning, if you will, from all of this, is that still doesn't mean that Ruben Amorim had to lose all of those games. It didn't. And it was interesting, the reaction yesterday coming out of talking about that, because I'm telling you that they're still out there. They're still out there. The Amorimers, they're still out there. They're very quiet. This is the odd thing. They're very, very quiet. But if you dare talk about the Messiah that way, if you dare talk about Ruben Amorim, then, you know, the claws will come out. The claws will come out, and you'll be told that somehow that this is incredible. Somehow the last 3 back-to-back wins are somehow Ruben Amorim's, you know, work, which is quite odd. Amorim laid the foundation for all of this. You know, Amorim did all of this, and even some people shitting on Michael Carrick as well. Even some people shitting on Carrick, going, you know, well, we'll see what happens. You're just getting gassed because 3 wins in a row, and yeah, we'll see. And then it's like, I mean, and this is where James has spoken about this, and it is kind of true, and it's ironic because obviously he was a big Ruben backer, but it is true. Like, it's a very odd phenomenon, and I want to also say that it's not everyone. It's not everyone, because, you know, that was also a thing yesterday of, when you say I don't care really what he has to say, that doesn't mean everyone doesn't care. Some people absolutely will care. Even people that didn't back Ruben will care just out of interest to see how the club works, which is true. Could choose my words better there, certainly. But, you know, when it comes to, you know, all of those decisions or what have you, like, it just wasn't doing a good job. he just wasn't. You know, it's just kind of the crux of it. But still, you'll be told, like I said, that he actually laid the foundation. Carrick's just getting lucky. And also, like I said, the sort of quietness from them when Manchester United win versus when Manchester United lose, then once again, it turns into, if Amorim was here, this wouldn't be happening, which, you know, objectively is horseshit. That's just not true, is it? It's just It's just not true. You know what I mean? That's when you get the, I hope you're happy, have your four at the back, have Kobbie Mainoo, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know. I do wonder, I'm like, are you waiting for United to lose? Is that what you're, is that what we're doing here? Are we you waiting for United to lose to do the victory lap? Is that it? Because again, it's bizarre. it's just bizarre. I think we can say, look, you never know. This is hypothetical stuff, so you can't say for 100% certainty. But I can say with pretty good confidence, these last 3 games that we've won, City, Arsenal, and then Fulham, do we win those games under Ruben Amorim? Probably not. Right? Probably not. Yes, he did beat Man City away from home. True. But certainly the manner of which we beat City at home in that first Carrick game, I don't think that happens under Ruben. The game away at Arsenal, I don't think we win that under Ruben Amorim. Yes, of course, I know we knocked him out in the FA Cup last season, but I just don't think we would have got that result. Fulham, you never know, but maybe we win one out of those games. Maybe we get a draw somewhere here and there, if it's good, but never 3 in a row. We just don't. It took Amorim a year to do it. It took Michael Carrick 3 weeks. As I've said a million times before, I'm all for a rebuild and all that kind of, you don't have the stomach for a rebuild, this, that, and the other. A rebuild does not mean you have to lose every week. It doesn't. We've discovered it. We're still in a rebuild and we're winning some more games at the moment. Funny how that works out, isn't it? And that's within a month. But then I did come to kind of the realization after all of this, and I know I'm going on a bit of a long-winded story here, but I came to the conclusion right at the end of it, of when the Ruben Amorim fans were getting very, very sort of defensive and doing their usual stuff. That's just how it's going to be, isn't it? That's just how it's going to be. The same way that it was with Erik ten Hag for a little bit after he left. With Erik ten Hag, I know you can bring up Erik ten Hag's name now and it's relatively safe and everyone's pretty unanimous of, the guy was a criminal and he needs to be tried for crimes against Manchester United and crimes to football. But if you brought up his name, within the first couple of months of him being sacked, you got a lot of, no, don't say his name. He was treated badly. It was the same with Cristiano Ronaldo. When Ronaldo left, you couldn't bring up his name for a little while. You're talking about the GOAT here. Same with David De Gea, right? Don't bring up his name. I think it's just the same with Ruben. I think that when we maybe get to the summer, depending on how the season's ended, you'll be able to bring up Ruben Amorim's name without those sort of the Amorimers getting very, very defensive and very, very upset. But at the moment, I think as we're just a month removed, it's still quite raw for some people. It is what it is. I think the most important thing now is to look forward. We've won 3 games in a row. As I've mentioned before, there are going to be games that Michael Carrick loses this season. This is the other part of it too, isn't there? There's going to be games that Michael Carrick loses this season. Like, we haven't turned into invincibles. We're not just going to win every game between now and the end of the season. It's not going to happen. The critical thing, I think, is when those negative results do happen, is just not to lose our heads, and not just to completely throw our toys out the pram straight away. Which, look, I'm saying that for myself as well, because I know I can be bad with it. We're all very emotional, but it was like it at the weekend, wasn't it? It was like it at the weekend with that Fulham game when we conceded the 2, and it went back to 2-2. You heard it and you felt it, the rumbling, didn't you? Oh, you felt the tweets get ready. I hope you're happy, and this is why Carrick was manager at Middlesbrough. Blah blah blah. I guess it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's the nature of the beast. But when it comes to Kobbie, he's going to be sticking around. I do think it's really interesting too when it comes to that midfield. Obviously, we know that. What's his name? We know that Casemiro, of course, he's leaving at the end of the season. And with Kobbie, now he's back in midfield. What's going to, with that midfield of midfielders in the summer of Elliot Anderson and possibly Baleba, what does that even mean for Kobbie next season, right? If we're going to get 2 midfielders, is Kobbie a regular start every week, or is he back to being, well, he probably should be still, which is not always 100% in the team. You need a squad. It's a squad game. And if we're going to be in the Champions League next season, we're going to our backup midfielders. Look, when you look at the bench, what we've got at the moment in terms of midfield options in the game, we can't have Casemiro coming off for Ugarte. Whoever the replacement is for Cas, next season that can't be. Okay, Elliot Anderson's coming off, Ugarte's coming on. We've seen what happens, right? No. So we're going to need at least a couple of midfielders in the summer, maybe even more, as we build up the squad for hopefully Champions League, at least European football. So I think next season is still going to be an interesting one for Cobby. Next season is going to be interesting with, names coming in that have been a lot of money spent on them. It's not like, okay, Cobby's back in now. He's never going to have to fight for his place again. He's still there's in a summer which we spend likely hundreds of millions on midfielders. He's going to have a battle on his hands, which is how it should be. It's how it should be because there should be competition and there should be rotation. Sometimes we think about that, too much, don't we, with transfers? We go, what does that mean for this player? This player's not going to play, or this player's not going to be starting every single game. That's how football works, isn't it? Super Art says, we owe Spurs a good thrash. It's been too long. I hope so, man. I really do hope that, the form continues, the results continue, because I was also thinking about this yesterday when I was in my deep, thinking about Ruben Amorim and the reaction and all this kind of stuff. As I was thinking, it is nice though, isn't it? Let's be honest. It is nice. I mean, I joke and I jest about the Amorimers and stuff like that, but it is nice just to be able to go into some of these games at the moment. Think about it. When we went into that Arsenal game at the Emirates, top of the table, they're going to win the league this season. And we went into that game with some chest, with some confidence, and not even we weren't even deluded when we were doing it. That's the other thing. Opposition fans, Arsenal fans, thought we were being deluded going into that Arsenal game because we were optimistic. But we went into that game with optimism because it was justified, even if it was only from one game against City, because we saw the performance. And how nice is that? How nice is that to go into some games going, not only can we win, but I actually think we will. And I think we'll play all right doing it. Like that is a nice feeling. Even if it doesn't last very long, even if Carrick doesn't stay and we get in someone else and it all goes to shit again, at least we can enjoy some games at the moment, because honestly, I haven't been able to do it for the longest time. You saw me in sort of December and January. I was just done. I was just done, give up, like the feeling of sort of apathy towards the team, towards the coach, every single game, like chaos and negativity. Starting lineup come out, just complete meltdown, and horseshoe back three. I was just done. Like even to the point when I wasn't even crashing out that much. I was still trying to be positive, like come back into the game, because even under Amorim, there was resilience, and I will give him credit for that. We saw it at Anfield, against Spurs, against Forest, against Brighton. We saw it in a bunch of games. There's that resilience has been there all season, and I will give credit to Amorim for that and the players for that. But I was just done. I was just kind of waiting till the end of the season of like, well, let's just see what happens. Hopefully we get Europe and it turns around, but I just don't really see it. I don't. So to get from that in the space of a couple of weeks to now, we're going into games against City, and well, maybe not so much City because we didn't really know what we had, but going into the Arsenal game and the Fulham game, going, yeah, we can get something from this game. We can win this game. Expectation, and even going down when we bottled the lead, going, all right, we can still go up the other end and score against Arsenal, against Fulham. And that's nice, isn't it? There's no way of sort of just dressing it apart from it. It's nice just to be able to believe again. And, credit to some people because they've got the ability to sort of believe regardless. I'm probably not one of those people. I'm going to be totally transparent. I need to kind of see. I'm a bit more of an empirical person. I need to see numbers, to see something. Like the blind faith I struggle with. Maybe that makes me less of a fan. I don't know, but I need to see something. And in the last sort of 3 games, we have seen something that you can believe until the end of the season. And it's also, again, nice knowing with Amorim too, is that every game was a referendum on him, wasn't it, about his future? And I know maybe we are going kind of in that direction already with Carrick, aren't we? Because the more he wins, the more it's going to be discussed about, should he stay? Is he going to stay? But for now, it is nice. Like I'm looking forward to my team playing at the weekend. Old Trafford Spurs. I think we'll win. I think we'll play well. I think we'll score a lot of goals. It's great. It's great. I could have said that a couple of months ago. I'd be like, well, I don't know. I used to say, we're the buffet, right? Everything's on the table, every option. We'll score some goals, we'll concede, but I don't know if we'll win that game, and I don't know which United is going to show up, right? To not have that now is quite refreshing, certainly, right? Where are we at in terms of likes? So see if we can get up to 200 likes, folks. Be sure to subscribe as well to United View. If you are new. Speaking of the Spurs game, I did want to just show you guys this because we kind of touched on it yesterday. And this is why United View Clips, is kind of goated. Yeah. If you haven't already, well, look at that, perfect timing. Scan and subscribe to United View Clips. I think the link's in the video description to it. Obviously, we were talking about Bruno yesterday, and the Spurs game is coming up. And Flex, like just off the top of his head, mentioned that he's like, I need to talk to Tobes again because obviously we've got the game at the weekend, and also he said some things a while ago. He said some things a while ago about Bruno and about which players were better than Bruno Fernandes, particularly in the Spurs team. And one of the players he mentioned was better than Bruno Fernandes was James Maddison, right? James Maddison. That's what he said. And I thought, surely not. Well, UV Clips, they found it. They always do. And this is the name of the game. You know me. I love a good receipt. And that's exactly what we got here. So it says this didn't age well. This is the clip in question, right? Just for a little bit of outrage this morning, to wake us all up, right?
Better Maddison for me. Sorry.
Of course we do.
No, you don't.
Of course we do.
No, you don't. Bruno Fernandes is a very good player, but he's not better than Maddison. Mason Mount is certainly.
By the way, we're 11 seconds in. That is sacrilege. Okay, you should that. I get backing your player. I get, if you're a Spurs supporter, you're going to back your player. James Maddison he's nowhere near Bruno Fernandes. He's just not. You know what I mean? He's not. He's a very good player, very influential. He's had a tough time with injury, certainly. I think he's going to miss pretty much this whole season, right? But no, absolutely not. No way.
Bruno Fernandes is a very good player, but he's not better than Maddison. Mason Mount is certainly not better than Maddison.
Of course he is.
Mason Mount is better than Maddison.
Of course he is.
I think Maddison's better than Bruno. I don't think it's by a lot, but I think
Who would you rather have, by the way, out of Mason Mount and James Maddison? Now, that one's a bit more interesting, isn't it? But Maddison, Bruno, I mean, it's levels, isn't it?
Mason Mount's better than Maddison.
Of course he is.
I think Maddison's better than Bruno. I don't think it's by a lot, but I think Maddison's better than Bruno. I think Bruno's very good, but I think Maddison's better than him.
Bruno, that's just because of the look, about Maddison. Sweet on the boys, rolling it. He's got a little strut. He's got his socks high. Don't buy into that. Bruno's been putting up these little cute numbers that Odegaard's now got involved with, and Maddison's got a little forward. Bruno, since he come to the club, been doing that.
His feel of the game is better than Bruno's. Like he doesn't turn over the ball.
It's just a style.
It's not just style though. He don't turn over the ball as much as Bruno. He doesn't force passes as much as Bruno. He doesn't.
Bruno, look, that is one bad thing in Bruno's game. But I would tell.
But what Tobes is basically saying, that he's describing a different kind of player, isn't he? That's what he's not saying. This is what I think he's getting a bit confused about. He's saying that he thinks Maddison is better because maybe he's a bit maybe a bit tidier. You know what I mean? Maybe he's a bit tidier than Bruno. Is that what he's trying to suggest? But again, you can't even if the argument is, of Maddison better than Bruno is why he's got a good feel of the game. Okay. What is it? Again, I go back to being empirical. Like, Bruno affects the game in terms of things that you can actually calculate, goals, assists, chances created. And then if you want to get into the stuff that's more difficult to kind of figure out, again, influence on the team, influence on the game. Like Nomad says that, I just don't even think it's a comparison. It's not even close. I've mentioned before, Bruno Fernandes would get into any Premier League team. I think he'd get into any team across Europe. I really do think that. And any team would be happy to have him. I couldn't say the same about James Maddison. I couldn't. A lot of teams would have James Maddison in their squad, absolutely. but it's not even close. You know what I mean? It's not even close. And that is one of the things that I think goes against Bruno, isn't it? That's what goes against Bruno Fernandes, is just because he's a bit rough around the edges, you know? If you're not a Man United fan, yeah, maybe he doesn't have the look, you know what I mean? He can moan and he can roll around on the floor and he can do this and he can do that. But you know, again, he delivers. He absolutely delivers. And also this notion of, well, Bruno doesn't deliver against top 6 sides is bullshit. You know what I mean? It's just not true, isn't it? Like I said the other day, who puts the cross in against Liverpool for the Maguire goal? Who gets assists against Arsenal? Who gets assists against City? Like he's always involved. Always gets assists in FA Cup finals. You know what I mean? So this idea, well, Bruno just doesn't deliver in the big games. Again, you know, it's just absolute rubbish. You know, absolute rubbish. You know, since he came into the Prem, you know, in 2020, he's created most chance. Like it's not even. It's just bollocks. It's just rubbish. You know, absolute rubbish. And Flex is right when it comes to the Bruno stuff. He is just overhated, and I think that what happens with a lot of it does start from obviously fans outside of Manchester United. So obviously, you know, you get a lot from the ops saying about how much, like Tobes here say, you know, Bruno's not good, and then when he does have a bad game, I think because of that pressure, some United fans believe it and go, "Oh, maybe they are right. Maybe I just didn't see it. Maybe they are right." But those that always talk shit about Bruno, he will just constantly prove them wrong. He always does. He always has. And frankly, it's kind of baffling that we're 6 years into his tenure, and he still does it. You know what I mean? People talk shit. He always ends up proving them wrong. He always does.
I would tell you that he affects the game way often than Maddison.
I don't agree. 2021 season, he got 10 goals, 6 assists. Maddison got 8 goals, 5 assists in less appearances. Is there really that much of a difference in their statistical numbers? Yeah, 19-20 for both, right? So Bruno Fernandes, this is when he was on smoke. 14 appearances, 8 goals, 7 assists. So that's 15 goals.
And he came in January,
Yeah, he was on smoke. James Maddison, 31 appearances, 6 goals, 3 assists.
Couldn't see him. No one. When Bruno first arrived, no one could see him. He was creating more than De Bruyne.
He takes penalties, right? He takes penalties. In that season, it's the truth.
I hate this thing. You know me. I hate this argument. This argument, this is when you know that you're winning in the argument, right? This isn't when you know that you're winning in the argument, because the moment that people bring up penalties like they don't count, once again, is bullshit. That is bullshit. For some reason, I don't know why, but it's this thing that penalties, they don't count, right? They don't. Those goals, yeah, some of them were penalties. So what's that supposed to say? And they still count. Did they, in those matches, yeah, in those matches, did Man United not win those matches? Or whoever it may be, right? Because I remember Alan Shearer gets it as well, doesn't he? When he's like record goal scorer in the Prem. And they'll be like, yeah, but how many of them were penalties? So, did the goals count in those games? When Bruno took the penalties in those games, Man United won. Did they at the end of the game go, oh wait, sorry, that was a penalty. It's a draw. That goal doesn't count. Sorry, I forgot about that. That was this. Yeah. No, penalties don't count. Forgot about that. Oh wait, was it a free kick? Was it? Yes. Sorry. That doesn't. No, it doesn't. They don't count those penalties or those set pieces or anything like that. Of course not. You know what I mean? Like of course they do, right? And this is what I mean by he always proves people wrong. So during COVID, that was the thing, wasn't it? He's Fernandes. He only scores penalties. Then start scoring all kinds of different goals. It's nonsense, isn't it? That's what it is. It's nonsense. All it is sort of arguments that really don't have a lot of logic. They're sort of very fringe, and it's just wow, penalties. Oh wow, he's a rat. Okay, if one of your biggest criticisms of Bruno Fernandes is his appearance, then I think he's probably doing pretty good, isn't it? You know what I mean? Probably doing pretty good. The wrap-up Heaven says Andy Cole didn't take penalties because he thought they were unowned goals. Look, that's fair enough to him. Fair enough to him. But just in terms of sort of objective football, like that's his perspective on it. But in terms of how football works, they all count the same. That's the cliche phrase, isn't it? It doesn't matter whether it's 30 yards out, 2 yards out, 12 yards out. They all count. They all count. There's many a different way to score a goal. There's many different ways to win a football match. And the whole penalty thing, I'm just like, well, going back a bit like yesterday. I don't care. If Man United, let's say Man United beat Spurs at the weekend, and we win 3-0. Bruno Fernandes gets a hat-trick at Old Trafford. They're all penalties. Are we then going to go, yeah, but Bruno, that hat-trick doesn't count because they were pens. And actually, this win today, that doesn't really count. So, really. Is that true, Ridwan, actually? Let me find that link because I can't click it. Actually, I can on this bit. Because, Ridwan, if you found that is a genius. I so wish I tell you what, actually, I think Flex is doing a preview with Tobes ahead of this. So if we could show him that clip, and then this. Maddison's better though, because Bruno takes pens. Even though, Maddison actually studied the guy who's not as good as him taking penalties, just in case he's taking pens. Kind of interesting, isn't it? Kind of interesting. It's just too easy, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's just too easy. Like with those, like I said, with those kind of arguments, it's just too easy to like debunk it all, isn't it? It's just mad. It's just I actually I'm kind of lost for words. I actually am. Unbelievable. But Flex will be doing a preview with Tobe, so I wonder if he has anything to say about that as well. A couple of other things as well. Allowell, worst take than when Owen was Amorim in. Oh, you've got me, Fika. I've got massively one guide there. Yeah, I was Amorim in at the start when he got hired. I'm kind of on record as being Amorim out for quite a while, actually. So much so. This is what's funny too, isn't it? So, and this was the bizarre thing from yesterday as well. If you sort of say about Ruben Amorim, oh, I don't care what he has to say, at the end of the season. Once again, I tell you what, chat, can we actually get some like applauds in the chat, or maybe some Owen emojis in the chat, please? Because it was a good day. I'm back on the Ineos payroll. Back on the Ineos payroll. Yeah, well, those checks weren't coming for a while, but back on the Ineos payroll now, which is good. Because hey, times are tough. Need the cash. So back on the Ineos payroll is good. Because I didn't, support the sort of worst manager in modern Manchester United history, which is great. Even though, like, literally a week prior, I was literally in a campaign with the 1958. By the way, it was a collaborative campaign with the 1958 about their protest and about how Manchester United is broken. Still on the payroll for all of that, so that was good. Yeah. So got that money, that was good. I bet I was Eric Ten Hag in when we were doing well under Eric Ten Hag. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah, nice. Got to get that money somehow, some way, and keep spreading the propaganda. It's difficult, Actually, that's my job title. My job title is propaganda coordinator. You've got to try. You've got to try and get the money in somehow, some way. So yeah, you got me. Deep dive. Just very quickly before we do finish up, there is actually going to be a press conference today from Michael Carrick. Now, usually it's on a Friday, but it is on a Thursday today for actually quite obvious reasons. So Manchester United put this out yesterday saying that Michael Carrick's press conference, the briefing, is going to be at 3 p.m. today. Of course, it's all the build-up, team news, what have you, for the game against Spurs. The reason why it's a day early is because this week it marks the anniversary of the Munich air disaster in 1958. Obviously, then the focus of the club, the staff's going to be on paying the respects to those that were lost and affected by the accident. There's going to be a memorial service being held at Old Trafford in the afternoon. The period of remembrance will begin around 2:45. GMT is going to last half an hour. Supporters are invited to gather under the Munich clock outside of the East Stand. And of course, I'm sure there will be tributes paid this weekend during the match at Old Trafford. So for those that are in the area, those that want to go and those that want to pay their respects, they can do so. Once again, you go to the, you can gather under the Munich clock outside the East Stand. That's 2:45. So that's the reason for the presser being today, but also more importantly, if you are in the area and you do want to pay your respects to those that were lost or affected by the accident in 1958, the Munich air disaster, you can do so. You can go to Old Trafford to do that. So I just wanted to make sure that if those that were in the area and want to pay their respect or what have you, or are able to, then you know how I can get that information. So there you go, folks. What's on tap for the rest of today? Well, it's Thursday. You know what that means. It means Trafford Talk with James and myself. That's going to be at 7 p.m. As far as many have noticed, actually, that I've been doing some quite bizarre thumbnails for Trafford Talk. Like last week, we had a rip-off of Step Brothers. What was the week before that? Week before that was, that was Casemiro. But we've had like me being a judge and James being, with the criminal sign and what have you. So let me know some ideas. I'm thinking still of sticking with like movie posters and putting us into movies. It depends on what is going on at the time with the news and what have you. So I'm trying to think what film best suits like this weekend against Spurs. Maybe we need something like that. Oh, I could ask James about the midfielders. That's true, Tris. I could ask him about Casemiro and about Kobe. Now, what? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I know. I've got it. I need to write it down. I need to write it down. Okay. And right. Is it that? Yeah. I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. Right. I know what the thumbnail is going to be. Later. So stay tuned for that one. I think that's going to be fun. It's definitely going to boil some piss as well. People are going to be up. People might be a bit annoyed, but it's going to be fun. Anyway, guys, if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Like I said, Trafford Talk coming up at 7 p.m. Preview is, when is the preview coming out? I did get a message actually from Flex saying that he's recording it. Okay, so it'll probably be coming out like tomorrow or something like that. Anyway, guys, stay tuned. Of course, if there's any news that's breaking sometime in between, I'll be here. I'll be live. Asha wants to say hello or goodbye to people before we wrap up. She's now had a haircut, haven't you, Asha? There you go. Look at that. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. There you go. You're a star. You are a star. You are a celebrity, and you're tired. Anyway, guys. Hey. Dre, you already know. Yeah. Great minds think alike, Dre. Yeah. Great minds think alike. Anyway, guys, have a great morning. I'll see you this evening. I'm out of here. Peace.